What's going on, boys? As you can see, today we're in ancient Egypt. And boys, the reason we're here is because I find ancient Egypt, the mysteries, the secrets, it's a fantastic place. And we're here today, boys, because we're going to be unraveling some mysteries and secrets in the pro scene, boys. Today we're going to be looking at CSGO demo reviews, his interview with SUPEX0. If you guys don't know, SUPEX0 is a highly rated cheat coder. I believe he actually coded the cheat for Kukli back in the day, boys. Kukli, jumping USP tap, baby. So this guy's a big deal, and he sheds a lot of light on the scene, and it's quite frightening, actually. So I'm going to try to cut as much of the stuff that's not relevant, because the video is quite long, and I'm going to try to give my 2 cents as well, so I don't want to make this an hour-long video. So anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get into this, boys. Alright, boys, so SUPEX0 is a highly skilled cheat developer in the CSGO cheating scene. He is credited with developing the cheat that Kukli was using. The following dialogue exchange between myself and SUPEX0 took place over email. For entertainment purposes, I've converted the emails into video interviews. Email logs will be provided. So, this is basically what he's doing. He had an email interview with him, and he turned it into a video format, and it's kind of fucking funny if you ask me. And yeah, we're gonna get right into this.
He's a pretty high-level cheat provider, well-known in the scene. He's been around for a long time, and to be honest, I'm pretty surprised that you were willing to talk to me at all. But I do have, I got a lot of questions to fire off at you, and let's get right into it. So Supex, is there still tier 1 players cheating at LAN tournaments to this day?
Definitely, yes. If you look closely at certain moments in players' demos, you could tell that weird things are happening. I'll give you an example. You mentioned that Stewie2K has these weird crosshair flicks. It kind of looks like he has mouse issues, or maybe that he has an aimbot that can't detect walls. The aimbot will start moving his crosshair a bit, and then Stewie2K will start steering it again himself. This kind of makes it odd looking, yet somewhat hidden with his aimbot. What would you say about the clip where Stewie's coming out mid-doors on Dust 2 against Renegades, and he's looking into B bomb site? That's one of the weirdest clips I've ever seen, but for some reason nobody seems to be talking about it. Stewie2K comes out looking into B. He wants to turn around, but his crosshair crosses over an opponent that was behind the B door. Stewie2K slightly aims up, shoots once, pauses shooting while turning to CT spawn, and then starts shooting again at another opponent in CT spawn. It was a single shot done by Stewie2K towards the exact center of an opponent's head behind B doors. It wasn't a spray down by him, since he stopped shooting when he's turning around, and you can hear that in the shooting rhythm when you replay that at full speed. This really strongly suggests that Stewie2K is either using an aimbot, which I'm kind of suggesting because at the start of Stewie2K's turnaround, he aims roughly at the lower part of the B opponent's chest, but at the exact tick he started shooting, he was on the opponent's head. So that's either a flawed or non-existent wall detection in his aimbot. The doors actually kind of work a little bit differently than walls, but that's another story for another time.
Alright, boys, as you can see in the video, we have the gorgeous looking CSGO demo reviews, and his counterpart is Doppelganger over there. And what's interesting, the first question he asks in the interview, he's asking a high-level cheat coder, is there still cheats in the tier 1 pro level scene? And he says yes right away. No if, and, or buts, not maybe, just yes, there is.
So Supex, is there still tier 1 players cheating at LAN tournaments to this day?
Definitely, yes.
And then he goes on to show this clip of Stewie, which we've all seen. It's pretty sketchy. Young Stu, boys, young Stu. He's on the fucking gear, and and basically he's saying this is just one of many possible clips that give things away. He says if you watch demos, you'll see sketchy things. It's true. If you watch demos, sometimes you can see little things that you might not have been able to see on stream, and it's not always enough to like put out as evidence, but enough of it over and over and over again can be seen as evidence. And as you guys all know, I don't think anyone cheats 100% without a doubt. But I do highly believe myself that Stewie was cheating and possibly is still cheating, as I think a lot of pros are cheating.
Give me your thoughts on, it's always rumored the cost of these cheats. The rumor of a $10,000 cheat has been thrown around a lot. Is that actually what you think it costs?
There was a time when LAN cheats would only cost $2,000 because the prize money at that time for non-BYOC tournaments was pretty low. The prize money was being split across 5 players at best, and it took a long time to recoup that $2,000 investment. Now, it's another story. Valve's brought in so much earnings for these professional players with their support in the major tournaments, it would be ridiculous to sell a cheat for $10,000.
Fuck.
First, it's the prize money. It's incredibly high for old CS standards. Even though the Dota 2 people are still laughing at us, our CS prize pools are astronomical compared to what they used to be. Then there's the sticker and sales sprays, and this is where every somewhat popular player gets a lot of their money from. It depends on the contract with the organization, but I assume the gross income for somewhat popular players is around $100,000 per attended major. Popular players easily gain more because of their personal signatures.
Yeah.
So if I were ever approached by a promising looking top tier player and that person were to offer me $10,000, I would laugh and say no.
Oh, fuck me.
However, I don't know what other cheat providers would say.
That's a lot of money.
Alright, boys. So in this, they're talking about money, boys. Fucking cash flow money, boys. And basically he's saying that $10,000 for a pro-level cheat is a fucking joke. So, these guys got to be making a lot of cash, or already have a lot of cash, to be investing in cheats like this. A thing that really sticks out to me is Nico just got bought out from his contract with Mouse Sports. And the buyout was $425,000 fucking dollars, boys. Holy shit. So, if you guys think this guy can't afford a $100,000 cheat, you're losing it. You're losing it, boys. And that's the kind of thing. If you're making that much money, you could easily afford these kind of cheats, man. You could go and get $10 cheats that don't get detected, boys. You literally can. So if those aren't getting detected by VAC, what are these $100,000? Literally, so much more money. It's ridiculous.
So let me ask you this: are you still making cheats for tier 1 players to use at LAN?
I can't disclose information on whether or not I do it right now.
Well, I tried.
But I can tell you that I do know ways on how to get cheats into non-BYOC events to this day.
Now, boys, here he asks him about if he's still making cheats for tier 1 pros, and clearly he's not going to tell him if he is. But in my opinion, I think he probably is. You'll see later on this interview, this guy sounds like he's got some... this guy's really intelligent. He's got a lot of knowledge, and his creativity with how he makes his cheats is quite amazing. Kind of annoying, obviously, cheaters in the pro scene, but it's quite amazing. So I still think he's fucking making gear, boys. And one more thing to point out, you notice at the end he says that he still knows how to get cheats into non-BYOC events. So that means majors, fucking ESL finals, DreamHack finals, boys, anything. He's getting his fucking gear in there. So with this guy saying he can still get his gear in to non-BYOC events, I think he's making cheats for the pros. I mean, you guys have seen my videos about how legit cheats can be, like that recent aimbot one I put out. You can't even fucking tell. And if these guys are pros and already making fucking crazy shots, you could even crank it up a bit. So, honestly, I think this guy's still making cheats for tier 1 pros. If he knows how to get these cheats in, there's no doubt in my mind. The money's there, baby. Easy. There's no laws against it. What's gonna happen to them? They're just gonna be banned from Counter-Strike. Never to play again. Just go fuck off with your millions of dollars.
Well, that's not very comforting. Let me ask you this. If we provided new peripherals, new Steam accounts, and restricted players so they couldn't warm up on community servers just like they did at the major, would we see a large decrease in cheating across non-BYOC LAN events?
If you guys want to watch this video without all these annoying Dan boys interruptions, in the description below I'm going to have the video linked up in there. You can click that and you can watch it. This next part is going to talk about how to not get cheats into events with like peripherals or cutting off internet. I'm only going to add a couple parts to this in here because the basic gist of it is him just saying like limiting internet access, giving them new peripherals, etc., etc. It's he just goes into it way too deep, and that's basically what he's saying. So I'm just going to leave some interesting clips in here, and that's all, boys.
I agree.
Actually, an interesting thing in regards to player peripherals, it's no secret that I was at least once in contact with certain professional players, and one of them pointed out an interesting fact back in 2013, 2014. The French player Apex had issues with his keyboard. He couldn't participate in any of the votes because his F key didn't work. It's not really a secret, since it was happening quite often in stream tournaments and majors, where he and his teammates even said he had to start the votes because his F key wasn't working. I don't know if this is still the case. It happened a long time ago, and I haven't really watched any of his matches recently, or if he finally swapped out his keyboard, but maybe this is something that can be prevented, if the players are given brand new keyboards, they won't have these odd situations where some of their keys won't work. Giving them new Steam accounts wouldn't hurt either. Valve definitely likes showing off the new skins, the shiny skins to all the younger players in the audience. The younger people are a little bit easier to manipulate than the older audience that watches the game.
Sometimes.
And Valve certainly doesn't mind showing them all the shiny new skins that all their favorite pro players are playing with.
This next part, boys, he's talking about aim locks, boys. Crisp, clean locks. He talks about aim locks, and then he talks a bit about some very creative techniques for getting information. And just listen to this stuff, boys. It's insane.
But I did want to ask you, actually, I do a lot of demo reviews. I look at a lot of demos, and one of the things I look for most is just the typical stuff that basically Flusha was doing in 2014, using an aim key to try and find information or spotting players when their crosshair's kind of in a position that's questionable. That's really one of the few things that can be picked up in a GoTV demo review. It's not ideal to be looking at GoTV, that's for sure. But do you think players are still using aim keys just like Flush did in 2014? Do you think that's something that's possible, or have players completely moved past that now and they're on to the next best thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's quite possible that players, and very probable that Stewie2K does still use an aim key, or he did at one point. And it's useful because it's also functioning as an aimbot. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You can have this aim key that'll give you information on people behind walls, and it'll also help you aim when you're in gunfights. I actually do get a request a lot from people saying, can you give me something that'll let my crosshair slowly but surely drag towards enemies' locations? And while it's possible, I really don't think that's the best solution. I personally use a sound ESP. It emits a small sound coming from opponents for as long as you hold down a certain key. And let me give you an example of this. Virtus Pro, they actually love playing with their radio commands. That's why Forsaken, a good friend of mine, we came up with this idea where we press a radio key. This would activate a sequence in which pressing another key, for example, mouse 5, would activate a check on how many non-dormant players are around you. Non-dormant meaning the players are relatively close to you on the server. Then, after that, it would virtually press 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 according to how many players are non-dormant. So a certain radio command would be played depending on how many enemies are close to you. This would be, this is strategically speaking incredible or critical intel that can potentially save you rounds or get you early rotates over to where, people are needed at certain bomb sites. And listening to the comms, or even if somebody did have headphones on, they would never really consider this as being part of a cheat feature. Another example I can actually give is it came from a discussion between myself and Coin when we were talking about how to hide or disguise cheats in plain sight. And basically what Coin came up with was, you display your net graph on your screen like most pro players do, and whenever you scanned your crosshair through a wall, the net graph would turn red if your crosshair bumped into an enemy. Every time your crosshair came off that enemy, the crosshair would go back, or the net graph would go back to the normal white color. There really is a lot you can do to display intel in a very subtle manner that would be very difficult to detect.
Now, boys, he's just naming a few things that are pretty creative. I mean, the thing with the net graph, when you scan over, it changes red. I mean, that's in plain sight, and that's not something an admin would notice. Think about these admins we've seen. They're not going to fucking see that. So just, I'm sure he's got tons of other tools to like, it's just, there's so many possibilities of things you can do. It's absolutely insane. And I hope this opens a can of worms, boys, because people need to know that this is how advanced the cheats are now. It's not just a fucking aimbots and wall hacks like fucking dumbass Mo and dumbass Freakazoid. These guys fucking have no brain. I mean, honestly, they can't even, they literally cannot think outside the box. They're literally so straight and narrow. They're so uncreative, boys. And yeah, this is just the kind of stuff that can happen, guys. And that's why I think this video is super important, and I really think CSGO demo reviews, obviously he spent a fuck ton of time on this. It's not easy for him to do what he did to make this video, and he deserves a lot more views than he's got for it. And this subject should be really put out there, because honestly, VAC just needs to get their shit together. If VAC gets their shit together, none of this stuff will even happen.
Yeah, for sure. I actually saw that coin video when it came out, and yeah, it's pretty insane what you can do. It's depressing. Going back to just using aim keys and stuff, and I feel like a lot of aim key clips get posted when like the distance is way too far. There is distance like limitations on how far it can go, right? What are the restrictions for that, or have people found a way around that, or is there a hard set limit depending on what type of server you're in? I think Faceit handles things a little bit differently than other servers, but what are your thoughts on that?
All right, so this might get a little bit technical, but stay with me here. Players that the game server deems that are too far away from you or invisible, they get marked as dormant, and the ones that are nearby are marked as non-dormant. This is done using the server commands svforce transmit players and svforce transmit ents. During the early days of CSGO, this was always set to 0, actually just like how it is now. Then coincidentally, the same day that Organer was released, arguably the most important cheat in CSGO's history, both for the cheating community and for the anti-cheat industry, since it was able to bypass every anti-cheat for quite a long time, and it was just a plain pay-to-cheat, no secrecy whatsoever. Everyone was able to purchase it. It really led to anti-cheat devs turning everything upside down to develop better anti-cheats just to stop Organer. So after Organer came out, Valve decided to enable both of those CVARs, and it stayed that way until 2015. Faceit actually does something that SourceMod Anti-Cheat, or SMAC in short, did a while ago, which might have something to do with Faceit's server-side anti-cheat stuff being heavily based in SMAC. They try to hide players' positions for as long as possible when they're not visible to the player. That's why sometimes you'll see people pop out of nowhere on Faceit servers. There are some workarounds for this. They are possible, but they only work under certain circumstances. One thing that has to get transmitted to all clients is sound. You could hook a game function that plays all sounds and do some magic there to filter out sounds that are coming from yourself, the map environment, and your teammates. This is a publicly known attempt of FAR ESP. You can also, in theory, build a communicative cheat. That would be having the cheat communicate with the server, allow it to create session IDs based on the current game server's IP address or any other unique way to identify the server, and then allow other players to log in as well. You'd have the cheat transmit gathered intel on players' whereabouts, the estimated or actual money that the players have, basically gathering as much information as possible to send to the cheating players. And then you would get your teammates or other people with the cheat installed to participate in this as well. They would fill in the blanks and give you more information based on where they are on the map, and collectively gather all that information. It can even be exported to a web interface to show the known positions of players on the current map and have it completely external to the game.
Why not?
There's many ways to attempt to bypass hurdles like aim key distance limitations. You just have to be creative and think outside the box.
Stop being creative and stop thinking outside the box.
Alright boys, that's basically the end of the video here. I'm going to have a part 2 video coming up pretty soon. Not going to say when, but within the next week I'm thinking. But basically boys, in this last clip, what he's basically saying is, you know, people that say there's aim key limitations, like, oh, he's too far away, you can't aim lock him. Basically saying there's so many workarounds and so many things you can do if you're creative with your cheats, that there's really not a lot of limitations to aim keys and to other types of cheats. It's just you have to be creative and you have to think outside the box. And you know what? When this cheating stuff was first happening, I was thinking outside the box. I was thinking, if I was a cheat coder, what would I do? What kind of stuff could I do? And I thought of lots of crazy shit too. And I thought, you know, if I'm thinking about this, just little old D&M, what are these coders going to be thinking about? And that's why I knew there was always cheats in the scene, boys. And I know there still is to this day. There's just too much money. These coders are just too smart, and they just can't keep up with everything. He also goes to a bit more about bad USB and stuff like that. But in my opinion, bad USB is kind of old news. I don't think it's that effective of a method to getting cheats in. Like I said, guys, the link's going to be in the description below. If you want to watch this whole interview without interruptions, it will be there. Like I said, boys, I'm bringing forth all the most important clips that I think are at least the most important. And I kind of threw out all the rest of the stuff. But guys, big props to CSGO Demo Reviews. He did a really good job on this, and I think this is a super underrated video. And I hope this can maybe get it a little more popular. Again, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, guys, I appreciate all the likes. It really does help. And sub if you want to see more stuff from me, guys. Yeah, so new videos coming out all the time, baby. Let's go, boys. Take care, guys.